So I'm out here in the woods of Pollard Pines again today, and I'm testing my first ever reloads for the 6.5 Grendel. Got my target set up at approximately 75, 80 yards-ish, maybe 100, I don't know. I got my chronograph that I just got. I'm testing that for the first time, and it's actually giving me numbers, so I'm pleased with that. And then I'm just testing some factory Hornady ammo right now to kind of establish a baseline and see how the numbers that come out of my gun compare to the expected velocities that are claimed on the ammo. They said that this load of Grendel is 6.5, 123 grain boat tail hollow point, and it's supposed to be getting 2,590 FPS out of this ammo. And so far I'm getting around 2475 all the way up to 2499. So I've done about 15 shots now that I've actually been able to get readings off of. And so I'm just going to finish up these last 5, and then I'm going to start my reloads. 2598, that's one of the high. 2498, I'm sorry. 2498, that's one of the highest that I've gotten so far. And not really testing for accuracy today. I'm just testing, because this is my first reloads ever, I'm testing to see if they're going to blow up this rifle. And 2473. So yeah, I got these loads, kind of a combination of the 6.5 Grendel forums and using this nifty tool called Gordon's reloading tool, which basically you can kind of create your own load, and it's supposed to tell you how much pressure it generates in the chamber and also what kind of velocities you should expect. 2473 again. That's probably an error, but I'll mark it anyway. So yeah, the tool tells you how much FPS you should expect out of your barrel, and you can even tell it what barrel length. So it should, in theory, the tool be even more accurate than the Hornady numbers. 2488. That bolt was a little sticky on that one. You would expect that the higher pressure rounds, like the 2499s that I got, would be the ones with the sticky bolt. But that hasn't necessarily been true. So 2493. Usually they say if your bolt is hard to open, that's a sign of overpressure, which is definitely one of the things I'm going to be looking for with these reloads. I'm back now, and I'm ready to start my first attempt at these reloads. You can see here, this is my recipe that I loaded these 5 rounds with. 2.27 inches overall length, CCI 250 primer. I got reused PPU brass that I shot from factory once. These are 129 grain soft point Hornady projectiles, loaded with Ramshot tack. This is 25.4 grains. And I'm supposed to be getting 2,145 feet per second out of this, according to the reloading tool. And so we're going to see how close that is. And all these loads that I made, in theory, should not be anywhere near even close to 25% of the maximum value that this cartridge is rated for, but you never know. And then I'm kind of just comparing now. My rounds are pretty close to the factory Hornady ones, and they've been feeding fine, but when I tried these rounds, when I first made them last night, when I tried feeding them, they were hard to get into the chamber. So I don't know, we'll see if they're going to feed hard today or not. I don't know, I'll just be happy if my gun doesn't explode, because I've never done this before and I'm pretty scared. Alright, that fed fine. Let's see if this thing even gets out the barrel, because these are pretty light loads. $22.30. Interesting. So that is already higher than the estimated. Okay. Everything looks alright, I think. Oh, that didn't feed. And already, my second round, it felt like it needed an extra little push to get into the chamber, so, I don't know. Maybe I didn't resize these correctly. $22.26. So again, higher than the expectation. And also a little trouble loading. That one went in fine. That last one went in just fine. Also pretty decent consistency. I mean, I'm not testing for accuracy, but I noticed those 2 rounds that went in were pretty close to each other. That one is not. It's a little outside the other 2. 2161. So still a little higher than the predictions, but closer. Much closer. Starting to feel a little more confident that these are not going to explode in my life. I don't see where that one hit, if it hit people or not. 2121 on the chrono. Primer strikes seem to be good. They seem less deep than the factory rounds. So far, all these loaded well. Oh yeah, that was right next to the other one. Great. So pretty accurate too. 2154 on the chronograph. So it seems like they're all kind of in the ballpark. They're within the lowest was 2221 and the highest was 2230, so they're about 100 feet per second spread, but all still kind of in the ballpark of where you want to be. You don't want to, I don't think you want to go much slower than 2,000 feet per second, because that's pretty slow. So happy with that group. And that's the lowest loading, so I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get any. As I was saying, that 25.4 was the lowest one. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get any squibs today, probably. Unless I have a light charge. Now I'm going to do 25.8 grains, also of Ramshot tack. So my highest load is 27. So I am going to be a little interested to see how things go as I move up the ladder. But starting on the low end, everything seems pretty safe and good results. Alright, here we're trying again with 25.8 grains of tack. And that bolt was a little bit hard to close on that last round. So, I don't know, I guess maybe my resizing wasn't kind of sloppy on this. I'm going for the bottom left-hand target this time, just to remind myself later. Interestingly, the smell after you shoot is quite similar from, oh, oops, I forgot to, oh no, 2171. So that's pretty close. The expected velocity from this grain, 25.8 grains, is 2175. And that last one was 2171, so that was almost right on prediction. 2160, so a little bit low. But also higher than all my other ones that were 0.4 grains lower. $21.64, very consistent. So that is a positive sign for both my powder, the Ramshot tack, and also my equipment. Good groups. 2150 this one, so still that was pretty low compared to the other ones. But not as wide of a range, right? Like the last shots, there was like 100 feet per second spread, and this one it's all 20. It's all within 20 feet per second of the last round. So quite consistent, and also the accuracy is better. Also, you can see the group is tighter. Good. I mean, I could tell right now this group is tighter than the factory ammo. Of course, that's only 5 rounds, and the factory ammo, I put like 10 rounds up there. So, oh yeah, 2158. So also falling within that around 20 feet per second spread. How encouraging. This is really fun because now I feel a lot more confident in my equipment and a lot more confident in my ability to use the Gordon's tool to come up with a load that I couldn't find anywhere else online. So I just came up with it through the tool, and it's working out fine. I'm going to move up now to 26.2 grains. And I'm just going to keep going here because the barrel's not too hot. 2,205 feet per second expected out of this load. Attempting all these to load to 2.275 inches is my attempt, and that's based off of the other chamber, not this gun. I tried to chamber it into a different gun, and it didn't want to fit, so I shortened the overall length, and it fit better. Alright, so I'm going for the top left-hand target now, going clockwise. .2218. So that's the hottest, fastest round that we've seen so far. And still not even approaching the velocities that I was getting out of the factory ammo, though. So that leads me to believe that probably that means that my barrel pressure is not too high. Oh, great. Just those two. 2241 out of that, so well, a little bit hotter. This is the first time I've seen really, the last set didn't go over the estimate. And these ones they've both been over the estimate. So I'm not sure what that means. .2231. Without knowing more about how chamber pressure correlates to overall bullet velocity, I would say that as long as I'm staying under 2,500, I'm definitely safe. That was better. 2251. But again, unless there's some phenomena that I'm not aware of, where you can build very high chamber pressure without also correlating to a higher bullet velocity, then maybe I have something to worry about. Nice. Not as tight as the last group, but definitely still good, and just as good as factory ammo. 2205. So that was actually the only one that was not higher than the expected numbers. That was actually precisely the Gordon's reloading tool estimate for that load. So I would say so far a successful test. Just in general. Let's stop it for now. Alright, I'm back now, ready to get finished. Only got 2 sets left. And then I'm probably going to be done here. Shoot. These don't really clamp my head so well with the beating on. It's getting chilly out here though. So now I'm stepping up to 26.6 grains. Here's what they look like when I made them. So, definitely pretty happy with the Gordon's tool that I used to make these loads, because it seems like the prediction was really spot on. So 26.6 grains of ram shot tack in this. Expected velocity or predicted velocity 2236 feet per second. .267. A lot louder, and I think that's probably just because my earmuffs are not as tight on my head as they were before I put the beat on. Uh, 2260. So another shot about 25 feet per second higher than the predicted. Ooh, that one was a little sticky. Might be the lube. I might have over lubed these when I was resizing them. Huh. That one might not have hit paper, or maybe it's just too close. Another 2260. That one loaded a lot easier. So yeah, my dad told me that when I explained to him how I lubed these, .2231, very close to the expected results. When I explained to my dad how I lubed these, I sprayed them with the case lube spray in a bucket and swished them around first. And then I rolled them on the roller mat, which also had lube on it. And my dad said, "Oh, you might have put too much lube on that." And that might be why they're kind of sticky in the chamber. Oh my God. The group. 2267. Wow. That was really consistent. I mean, the duplicate might have been an error of the machinery, the equipment, when I got 2260 twice in a row. That's probably an error with my chronograph. But if it was truly the same velocity, then this higher load is much more consistent. 2267, 2260, 2260, another 2267. Those four are all so close to each other. Those just the one that was 30 feet per second off. So very consistent, and also my accuracy seems to be going up higher the more I step up in powder charges. Okay, final group today. My 27 grain, the big boy. Although these velocities are all much lower than the factory Hornady rounds that I was shooting, so hopefully that means that I'm not building too much pressure as I'm shooting these. So 27 grains of tack in this group of 5. Expected velocity 2267. So the expected velocity out of these is the same velocity that I was building before, with 0.4 grains less charge. So I'm probably going to see much higher velocity, I would expect. Magazine didn't really want to go in. I feel like it's starting to cool off. I can see my breath. So it seems like it's cooling off out here. Still recording. Okay. Let's see what we get now. Surprised, still not having any issues with chambering. So I ran out of targets, so I'm going to shoot for the top I'm going to shoot for that top diamond on the target. That top corner of the diamond. Adjust my parallax out a little more. Error on that. So that sucks. Since it was an error and also pretty loud, I should check this for signs of pressure. I do see it looks like the bolt face is kind of imprinted on the primer there. That could be a sign of overpressure, I hear. But it wasn't sticky or hard to extract. So you would expect to see that too if there was overpressure. $23.22. So still well under the 2,500. But I was getting higher with the factory ammo. $2,300. 2 more shots left. Could also be that my barrel's heating up a little bit, although it's a pretty heavy barrel. $23.07. I feel like my point of impact has shifted a little bit since the last rounds, but still pretty accurate. $2,402. So barely starting to kind of creep into the territory of the factory load at 2402. I don't know. So you can see here there's this tiny little faint ring kind of around the primer. It's like halfway around the rim. And that could be a sign of, so you can kind of see it's kind of light gray, goes right through the lettering of the PPU. That could possibly be a sign of a little bit of overpressure, but I don't know. Let me look at some of my factory rounds. And the factory rounds, it looks like deeper primer impacts and I can't really tell. I mean, they look pretty close to me. And these have all been fired once before. These are all once fired already. So they probably have some wear on them from that. And I did not, neck size these, or I didn't trim these or anything. But I'm gonna go up there and collect my target to shoot off of. Somebody left it. People really trash this area. So this is this group here is these three, and this group here is all the Hornady factory ammo. So you can see it's very consistent, very good stuff. These are my lightest reloads. 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe one off the paper, or maybe that's 2. That one might be 2. And then stepping up, that's a 5-shot group from my second load. So pretty, you know, I would say that's pretty good. That's the 3rd one, not as good. 4th one, really good. That's definitely 5 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would say that 26.6 grain is the best. And I would say just as good as the factory, right? And then these 5 here were pretty good. This is my point of aim here. So they were off a little bit. And these here, everything's kind of a little bit low and a little to the left. But that's from, I actually readjusted the scope and tightened it down, and I didn't even re-zero. So I'd say that's pretty good consistency for not re-zeroing. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the performance of that combination. And the gun didn't blow up, so I'm happy about that.